I think so. Well, my talk this morning is excuse me. I interrupt this message for this broadcast for a message from my soul. You know, we all come to church to get the messages that we're ready to hear. Have you ever noticed when Darlene is speaking or any ministry you watch, they feel like they're speaking exactly to you? And how can that be? Because you come here to receive a special message, and vibrationally, what's delivered from the podium is exactly why you came today. So I know why you came today. And from me, you came to get some health tips. That's why you hear that I'm a little congested, right? So I'm going to give you some health tips today. And first of all, did you know that the Japanese eat far less meat than Americans and the British? And they have far fewer heart attacks. Did you know that? Did you notice that the French eat far more fat than the Americans and the British? And they have far fewer heart attacks. Did you know that? You didn't know that. Did you know that the Italians drink far more red wine than the Americans and the British? And they have far fewer heart attacks. Did you know that? Well, that's true. So the research is clear. You can eat, drink, whatever you want. It's speaking American that will kill you. So, that's my health tip for today. But really what I'm going to talk to you about today is the language of the soul. Because as you came here today to hear the message that is uniquely yours this morning, we have a way of listening to the language of the soul. And we have our spiritual experience and we have our human experience. And the spiritual part of us that hears the message says, oh, the possibilities are endless. Don't you agree? You get excited, you hear a message. That's that expansive part of you that knows that anything is possible. And whatever you have as your heart's desire, you can create. And then there's the human part of that languaging in you. And that's the contractive part that says, what are you thinking about? Are you kidding with your background, your history? You're too old, you're too young. We have that human voice that contracts. Now that human voice, when we are in a rut, it's very quiet. Do you notice it doesn't say a word? Because it's very comfortable there. But as soon as we start to challenge the status quo, as soon as we start to break out of our mold and do something else, it goes, what are you thinking? I don't think so. You can't do that. Are you kidding? Starting a business in this economy? No, no, no. Go back to that comfortable way of being. We've all heard that voice, haven't we? Well, we know that our paradigms are really what rule us. It's what rules our voice. And so to break through those paradigms, we often need a tool to do that. And it was a couple of years ago, over 3 years ago, I was living in Oregon, and I had just completed a beautiful 27-year marriage with my husband, who we're best friends to this day. And we did just a beautiful way of doing a happy marriage and a happy divorce, if you can believe that, and a completion of our relationship at that point. And I decided to move to LA. And I was very excited that after 27 years, I was out on my own. I was going to have fun, get my own place. And, here was a man who took such great care of me. I, never did all the little things around the house because he was just that type of person that loved to do everything like that. And I remember when I first moved to LA, I thought, gosh, I'm going to get a really nice place. And then I went to LA and I saw the price. And I went, maybe I'm not going to move. And I went, no, I'm going to move to LA. And when I moved to LA, I thought, I'll just get a smaller place. I don't need that big of a place. I went, no, I'm a possibility thinker. I'm going to think in possibility. I'm going to get a really nice house. And I know that I will make the money because that's the world I live in. And so I got a beautiful house. And I got this wonderful house. It was about 2,400 square feet, not huge, but way bigger than I needed, 3 bedrooms. And I had all my things out, my artwork, and I was very excited. For 7 days, I'd walk around the house going, I did this all by myself. I'm even taking the garbage out every Monday night. I'm doing a great job. I'm remembering to do all these things. I was so excited about that, being so proud. And about the 7th day, I was running in the neighborhood. Not from something, I was jogging. I was running around the neighborhood. Well, you never know in LA, you know. I was running around the neighborhood and I was jogging, and all of a sudden I'm hearing, you know, Karen, you really didn't need that big of a house. What were you thinking? I mean, it's just you. Why would you spend all that money in rent? You should be saving your money to get to buy a house. That was a ridiculous amount of money. And I would listen to my mind talk negatively to myself, that human part of me that started saying, you made the wrong decision. Have you ever been there? You've made the wrong decision, and that didn't feel well. And I started to feel how contracted that was in my body, and I said, now wait a minute, I need a different tool. I need a different tool right now. And in that moment, as I was running through the neighborhood, I just said, excuse me, I interrupt this broadcast for a message from my soul. I am a child of God. I deserve this house and even more. The next one I get will even be more magnificent. And I started to realize that I had the broadcast of CNN running all the time. And you know what CNN stands for? Constantly negative news. So if your broadcast is on CNN, you want to grab that remote. Who talked about the remote? Where are you? Thank you so much. You want to grab that remote and change the channel because you have the opportunity. You're the one holding the remote. So take that CNN and switch it over to ABC, which stands for Attitude, Belief, and Commitment. I have the attitude, I have the belief, and I am committed to my highest good. So you grab the remote and you change from CNN to ABC. Now there have been many times since that in the last couple of years where I've had to say to myself, excuse me, I interrupt this broadcast for a message from my soul, because the mind tends to go back to that way of thinking. And so we have the opportunity to retrain the mind, to grab the control of our particular lives so that we can be the master of our mind. You know, it's a Zen saying that says, be a master of mind rather than mastered by mind. And how many of you go through the day feeling mastered by your mind rather than being a master of your mind? So if that's something that is really a tool that you want to hone for yourself, all you want to do is grab onto a few things every single day that will make a difference. And the first thing is first thing in the morning. Wake up and tell your soul who you are and what you're about to do today. And the very first thing I do in the morning is do what I call a to-be guide. And rather than do a to-do list, I wake up and I write a to-be guide. I am a child of God. I am. And I write all the things that I am for the day. Thank you, God. I write all the things I'm grateful for. And then I write all the things I'm creating. Not that I'm so brilliant to create, but I line myself up to co-create with God every day. And so should you. Because God is just waiting to give you anything you want. All we have to do is ask for it. So how to ask for it? Develop tools for yourself. And one is to create your own to-be guide. And if you're used to doing the day, how about co-creating the day with God every single morning? So you wake up and say who you are, what you're grateful for, and what you're creating. And then you say, thank you, God, I'm in. I start my day every morning with that, as Maria was staying with me last night in the hotel. So first thing in the morning, I grab my computer and start writing my to-be guide. Why? Because I want to do the day. I don't want the day to do me. And when I know the difference is how I feel when I put my head on the pillow at night. I either put my head on the pillow and go, oh, I got through that one. Can anybody relate? Or I just put my head on the pillow and say, now that was a fun day. Now, many times in my life, I lived my whole life going, I made it through that one. Until I started to use this practice, and little by little by little, things would change, to now I rarely put my head on the pillow and go, that was a tough day, I made it through. Why? Because I begin the